watching Ask the Institute, presented by the Options Institute at CBOE.
Welcome to Ask the Institute, where we explore the topics that you want to know about. I'm Michelle Kaufman, Market Observer at the Options Institute, the Education Division of the Chicago Board Options Exchange. Today's question comes to us from Ron K., who says, "Thanks for your recent discussion on Delta. If you can, please explain how Delta changes. In the past, I've observed that as the stock price went up, the delta of the call went up. Is this always the case?" Well, Ron, yes it is. And this is how and due to something called gamma, which is the topic of today's segment. Now, to bring all of our viewers in on the conversation on how delta changes, first I'd like to start off with a quick definition of delta. Then I'll provide a few examples of how delta changes for out, at, and in the money options because of gamma. Now, as you may recall from our previous Ask the Institute segment on delta, I explained that delta is the change in option price for a dollar change in stock price. For example, if the stock price goes up by $1 and a call option goes up by 20 cents, then this option would have a delta of 20% because 20 cents is 20% of a dollar. Now, let me explain gamma. Gamma is defined as an estimate of the change in delta for a dollar change in the stock price. Option traders use gamma to estimate how much delta of an option position changes as the stock price changes. Let's take Ron's observation noting the delta of his call increased as the price of his stock went up, and use a few examples to explain this concept further. If we have a stock price at $60, then an out-of-the-money 65 strike call might have a delta of 30%. An at-the-money call, however, has a delta of approximately 50%. So, with the stock price at 60, the 60 strike call has delta of approximately 50%. Now finally, in the money calls have deltas greater than 50%. For example, with the stock at 60, the 55 strike call might have a delta of 70%. By using these simplified examples, we can see Ron's observation is on the money. With the stock at 60, the 65 strike call would have a delta at 30%. But if the stock rises from 60 to 65, then the delta of the call would rise from 30 to 50%. If the stock price continues to rise to $70, then the delta would rise further to 70%. Let's take a look at the big picture using the examples discussed. In the first column of the table, we have the stock price, then the price of the 60 call, then the delta of the call, and finally the gamma of the call. Do you see the correlation between the stock price rising from 60 to 61? The delta of the call rises from 50 to 58. This is an example of gamma. And as we can see in the lower right quadrant of the table, gamma has been calculated as 8. Gamma is exactly predicted the change in delta. To review the concept of gamma, I'd like to suggest experimenting with the iVolatility.com options calculator available at cbo.com at the address listed here. This calculator is intended to assist investors in learning how options work. Please note this calculator is not intended to provide investment advice, and users should not make investment decisions based solely upon the values generated by this tool. Once again, this is Michelle Kaufman, Market Observer at the Options Institute, exploring the topics you want to know about.